All right, and we're on here. Okay, well, I'm really excited to have my good friend, basketball shooting coach Dave Hopla here. I can hands down say the absolute best shooter I've ever seen in my entire life. I've always been in awe watching you do your camps and clinics over the years. I've probably seen certainly more than a dozen's worth over my career being around you, and just incredible. So, Dave, I know you spent time in the NBA with the Raptors, the Knicks, also the Wizards at one point. Really appreciate you having jumping on today and sharing some stories.
Well, appreciate you having me on, Blair. We go back a long time, so I feel honored to be on your show here.
Absolutely. So, I just want to give the viewers an opportunity to know, like I first watched you in my first opportunity watching you in a camp clinic was at University of Maryland, Gary Williams basketball camp, which was a ton of fun. And I could not believe watching you shoot for, I want to say it was a good 45, 50 minutes or so, and might have missed 3 total shots. I still remember that like it was yesterday. And so I remember seeing you there, really, really stuck in my head. And then over the years, we had the opportunity to work together at the Nike All Asia Camp in China several times, which was just awesome. And so give us a little bit of background, like how you got into that space of the camp clinic and motivational speaking sort of thing.
It all actually started by accident. I was back from playing overseas in the 80s. I had played over in Great Britain for a number of years, and I came back one summer. My old high school coach, Joel Bailey, was having a little day camp, and he said, "Hey, Dave, why don't you come in and speak to the kids?" And I'm like, "What am I going to do?" He says, "Do your workout." And back then, it wasn't just a shooting workout. I did ball handling because when I was a kid, I had the pistol Pete Maravich homework. I used to do ball handling and all that. So I went in and, I did a lecture, and I used to pass against the wall because, I couldn't afford a toss back and all that stuff. So I had a little workout that I did. And then when I did that camp, there was another coach there that had a camp. And he said, I have a camp next week. Why don't you come in and speak? And it started snowballing from there. And I was like, this is pretty cool. I said, I'm getting paid to, do my workouts. And, I would go back overseas every year and then come back and just speak at some local camps in the Maryland area. And then when I finally got in, my playing career ended, I was coaching at Dundalk Community College. I started, making it more of a shooting clinic and stuff, shooting demonstration. And at the time, nobody knew who I was. I went to a small school in Nebraska, played overseas, so I didn't have a big name. So I wrote to all of these people that I knew had camps, and I said, give me an hour of your camp time, and if I do a great job, hire me next year. So I was, traveling all over the place, and just snowballed from there. And I was up at Rutgers, and actually Jeff Van Gundy was the the restricted earnings coach at the time, where I think they could only make $17,000 back in the day, and he was running the camps. And this is before he ended up leaving there to go to the Knicks. He was there with Bobby Wenzel, and I had done a lecture, and Jeff brought me up into the thing. He says, "We have 3 more weeks of camp." He goes, "You're not doing them for nothing. We're going to pay you the next 3." So, and then what I did was I started putting together a brochure, the camps that I spoke at, and I'd get a quote from the coaches, and it just kept going and going from there. And, every summer I was, speaking to camps throughout the country, and then it snowballed, going global.
That's awesome. That's incredible. And when did the NBA opportunities pop up for you?
Well, it was funny when I came back from overseas. When I was done playing, and I was coaching at Dundalk Community College. At that time, I wanted to coach in the NBA, and I sent letters to every coach and videotapes of myself and me working guys out. Got the old thanks but no thanks. I think two coaches actually wrote me back, but it was a cover letter, that the secretary sent out. And so, my thing started snowballing. And I always tell people, you never know who's watching you.
Yeah.
So give your best all the time. And I was at Sunshine Invitational Basketball Camp in Orlando at University of Central Florida. And I was down there and I was doing a lecture, and George Karl was coming in to speak after I was done down there. And George saw me and he goes, you're the greatest shooter in the universe. He goes, you're unbelievable. He goes, I want to talk to you when I'm done. And he brought me out as a consultant, not a full-time job, but I went out to Seattle, back when he had Gary Payton. Seattle was very good back then. And he goes, I got to figure how I'm going to get these guys to get your attention. And I said, well, how did I get your attention? Because we don't miss. So when I went in the training camp, I was down the other end, had one of the, interns passing me the ball, and Gary Payton's hitting Nate McMillan. He's like, yo, man, that dude ain't missing 5 minutes down there. And then George knew that I had their attention. And that was my first interact and working for the agents, getting guys ready, worked for Arn Tellem, Dan Fagan, rest his soul, just everybody. And then I got hired in Toronto. Was my first full-time gig up there. And then I went from there to Washington to New York. And most recently was with Stan Van Gundy with the Pistons.
Yeah, that's an incredible journey. I mean, it's really cool to hear that you've been able to help so many people across the globe and at the most elite level. I know from just watching you from personal experience, I want to say within your clinic, you might get off 330, 340 shots. Is that still on point with what you're doing now?
Yeah, it all depends on how good the passer is,
Yeah, I remember saying
when I was older, I used to get 500, but I've calmed down. So I go anywhere between 300 to 400 now. But I used to fire up 500 when I was older, So now I do a little more talk and less shooting.
And I had never seen you, and I remember specifically, I've never seen you miss more than 3 in a session. And I've seen you at a variety of places, different venues, different courts, different basketball, different rims. I've never seen you miss more than 3 in a session. So I love so much of what I'm doing at Healthy Baller for our parents and kids in our community is teaching them about positive habits and ways to be consistent, because it all adds up at some stage, good and bad habits, they all add up. And so give us an idea of your daily routine. How in the world did you get yourself to be so consistent in any place, anywhere, anytime?
Well, a lot of it, starts like my daily routine. What I do now is I get up and I spend a little time, with the good Lord. I read my devotionals, read my passages with the Bible, and I write a little note to my daughter every day. I have a little notebook, and might not mean anything to her now, but when she gets older, she has them all saved like in a shoebox. So I get my mind right, and then I have a little breakfast. Usually consists of some fruit or maybe a power bar or something, and some water, and then then I go to the gym. And before I go to the gym, I visualize myself doing my workout. And I'm still old school. I have my notebook with what I did, and I write down what I'm doing. Like I tell people, one of the things, consistency is the mark of greatness. And too many people, they don't have a plan what they're going to do when they're going to the gym. I have it, I write it down the day before I go there. But some days as I'm getting older, some days my knees are hurt, a little sore, but I'll still do a workout. But I have I just finished reading a motivational book called The One Thing. And the one thing I do every workout, whether, it's an intense workout, I'm doing a lot off the dribble, shooting threes, a lot of movement, whatever. The one thing, even if I don't do any of that, is I always do my form shooting. The simplest step. I start, as you see me a number of times, 2 feet from the basket, one hand form shooting, and I'll work my way out to the NBA 3. Then I'll come in and add my balance hand. So I do them every single day. And I tell the kids, the reason I can shoot the 3 is because I do this other stuff. Yeah. And you see kids nowadays, they come in, they go into, sorry about that. they go into the gym and they like want to start with a step back three. You know, it's like, you know, they have no routine. And like, you know, I say to kids, what do you do when, you know, tell me about your workout. And in this day and age, I mean, there's so many apps. I mean, Home Court's a great app, you know, and it records everything. And I say to kids at camps, how many do you have Home Court? Yeah. How many? Oh, I use it once a week. I mean, what do they want you to do the workout too? I mean, it's just, but routine is huge. You know, if you want to be great, and I tell people, you know, recording the shots was huge in my mental aspect. Like, how do you know if you're improving if you don't track your shots? You can't improve on something you don't measure.
Right.
And like I always say, you know, what the you know, the guys that are serious about running doing, they're checking their time. Okay, I ran a mile on this. Serious weightlifters, you know, how do you know if you're getting strong? I mean, they have books. They log in what they're doing. They have okay, today's a leg day, tomorrow's a chest day, or whatever. And so many kids, I feel, you know, don't have you know, routine. And it all starts, you know, with your mind, getting yourself right. What do you want to accomplish? You know, visualize yourself getting it done. And one of the things I find, I always tell the kids when I work out, whenever they miss a shot, they like, or they go like that. And I'm like, you know, when I miss a shot, I should get pissed off because I spend a lot of time shooting the ball. You don't even work, and what do you expect to make them all? And then you have the negative. And I have some kids, if the parents are, they look over at their parents when they miss a shot. I'm like, your mom didn't shoot that ball. You know, you got to be tough mentally. But I always tell people, when I miss, I want to use it as information.
Yeah. Where
did I miss? And I always tell people, you know, if you miss long or short, that's an easy fix because that's an adjustment problem. It's either, you know, you're not getting enough legs or your follow through's a little low. But somebody that's missing left, right, it can be a number of things, and that's an alignment problem.
Yeah.
But you know, like I said, even when I was a kid, I always, you know, like used to visualize myself before a game, playing a game. So like anything that would come up, you know, I was ready for it. And I think that's one of the things that, you know, we neglect a lot as coaches is the mental aspect of you know, whatever sport it is. And I mean, some of the books, the favorite books that I read is like The Mental Game of Tennis. It's been out forever, you know, about the strokes and visualizing yourself. And, you know, but like I said, you know, you got to be tough mentally. You're not going to make every shot. And that's what I always say to kids. If you're not scoring, what are you doing to help the team? As you know, a lot of players are not scoring. They're not running back on defense. They slap the floor. They hang their head. Meanwhile, his man's getting a layup down the other end. They turn it over and then they go out and they Collins. You got to be shot and, you know, think about the next one.
Yeah, it's crazy. There's so many points that conversation that I want to dig back into, and I'm going to start with the fact that, you know, here's a funny example for me. Like before COVID, I was playing pickup 2-3 times a week easily, and I generally shoot pretty well, but I would get so mad at myself, and several times I just told myself, stop, why are you getting mad? You're not practicing.
Right.
So don't get mad. Like,
you're
not putting in the effort, why you're getting mad. But let's think about the top shooters in the world. I think a lot of kids don't even recognize or realize how difficult it is to shoot so consistently in an efficient manner. Steph Curry, probably one of the greatest shooters of all time, is in the low 40s, correct? Like low 40s in a percentage.
Right.
More than 50%, he's going to miss.
Yeah. And that's, you know, it's what kids don't understand. Like I said, you know, the greatest shooters in the world, you miss 50% of the time. I mean, he's, you know, 40 from outside the three. And I always tell people, you know, strive to be a 180 shooter, which is 50% from 2-point land, 40 from three, and 90 from the free throw line.
Yeah.
And there's only been, you know, several guys that have accomplished that in the NBA.
Yes.
And then what's your name? With the Mystics was the Deladone shooter. You know, Devin Booker was at that pace last year, the beginning of the season, where he's shooting over 50 from the NBA three. But to sustain that over a season is a long thing. But, you know, like I said, you know, the mental aspect is just, you know, that's half the battle. And I tell people, how do you gain confidence, and it's through repetition, doing things like I still go to the gym and I do a thing called streaks. I want to see from this spot, I want to see if I can streak it out, and I give myself, 3 spots. Like during my workouts, I want to make 25 in a row from each spot before I go to the next spot. I give myself 3 strikes, like baseball. 3 strikes, I'm out, I go to the next spot. Now, say if I go to spot number 1 and I make 38 in a row before I miss, I don't do it 2 more because I've already accomplished my goal. I go to the next spot. Because people say, well, how many shots do you say? I said, it's not about shots. It's about the makes. Yeah. But like, I'm not going to go, okay, so I accomplished it from that spot. Now maybe I go to spot number 2. I make 3 and I miss. I make 17 and miss, and make 12 and miss. Then I just go to my next spot. But, meanwhile, I was, 32 for 35 from the spot, but I didn't get 25 in a row. But that's what keeps me motivated is like today's the day, man. Maybe I'll get, a new record from that spot and so forth. And like I always say, when you see yourself getting better, you want to practice more. Yeah. And your confidence grows. Confidence leads to success, and success leads to confidence and stuff. And then, in a game, like, hey, I'm going to make this. And like, like I always use the example of, Ray Allen. When Ray Allen hit that 3, when he backed up, he knew exactly where he was. Mm-hmm. And he said, I expected to make it. He goes, I've made that shot 10 million times, through the course of his workouts and everything. And, the mindset's just a huge, part of becoming a better shooter or better at anything in life. You got to visualize yourself being successful, before you act. That's the first step before you actually, do the process. And one of the quotes that I always liked was in the bubble last year in the playoffs when Kyle Lowry threw the cross court pass. Taco Bell just Taco Fall stood there like a field goal. He like, and I mean, Kyle's 5'10". I mean, realistically, throws a cross court pass. I mean, Taco Fall wasn't like just stood there. Yeah. And OG Ojinobi caught that ball and shot it. And I mean, no dip. It was right there. It just went right up, knocked it down. And like, they said, did you expect to make it? He goes, of course I expected to make it. I mean, that, he had made the shot before it's taken. And that's, I tell kids, I said, shots are made before they're taken. Yeah. And you have a negative thought going in your head, probably going to end up with a negative result.
Absolutely. So like, I want to go back into that. So, obviously you've mentioned the mental aspect. So we know that's there, but what do we tell these kids? They're going to miss a ton of shots. There's going to be those mini failures. How do we coach them through that? How do we tell them to shrug it off? What are your thoughts there?
I just tell them, you're going to fail more than you succeed. Yeah. Like Michael Jordan has that quote, I've missed so many shots and so many times but he says, I fail. That's why I succeed. But the thing is, like, I find in this, generation with kids, you hate to like beat them up on it but it's our society, and sports is a small part of society. People aren't many. They're beaten down and they give up too quickly. And it's not just in the sports world; it's in everyday life. And I tell my daughter and the kids I work with, look, you're going to fail, but you got to get up and get after it. I mean, I've had kids and guys I work with like quitting drills. I'm like, you can't quit in the drill. It's just like it's a tough thing, but it's so much of it I think is has been throughout growing up. They've it's okay, we'll do it again. Everyone gets a certificate, everyone gets a trophy. It's not like that. And so now when they fail, it's like they expect you to build them up. And the great ones, like I use Kobe as an example all the time. I do this half court shuttle with him, and he went in, he made every shot. He went in for his dunk. He missed the dunk. Ball went down the other end of the floor. He sprinted like it was the 7th game of an NBA championship, dunks it, goes over to me. He says, I'm doing the drill again, and I'm not missing a dunk. Whereas the other guys, they missed the layup or the dunk. Oh, can you believe I missed that? And they're standing there, and the clock's still running. It didn't faze him, But you know, and the other thing, like, you know, with the mental part is, you know, tell kids, you know, okay, don't get mad, you know, use it as information. You know, where did that shot hit? Did it hit right? Did it hit left? Now, why did it do that?
Yeah.
You know, have some feedback. Use a negative as a learning point, as a correctable incident. You know, like watching film or something. And same thing, I'll do that with the kids. Okay. And I want them, because I can't be with them on every time they shoot. Once they're gone with me, I want you to be your own shooting coach. Right. And like, okay, why did that shot, you know, miss short? You know, I think my elbow was low. Okay, let's go to the video. Let's look. Oh, yeah, there you were. Your elbow was low. You shot a line drive. You had no arc, you know, and use it as valuable information and self-correct. And I find out, like, you know, like the next shot, the kid all of a sudden his elbow's up above his eyebrow, shoots it, and then they're like excited. And I said, that's what we want to get, you know, taking a negative result, learn from it, correct it, and then positive, and then they're engaged mentally, you know. And it's like, okay, why did that one miss? And I always try to, you know, be positive with it. And I try not to use negative terms, like with the kids, like, you know, always being positive, like, you know, okay, that was short. Okay, let's, you know, let's shoot it higher, shoot it deeper, elbow above eyebrow, something, get yourself, you know, not like, you know, beating kids up and trying to be positive. I find that, you know, the more positive you are with them, the more positive they have. And that's one of the things, like, I felt that I always brought, you know, a positive energy into the gym whenever I walked in. And like, if I'm not excited about the workout, how do I expect you up? Like, you come in the gym, okay, Blair, we're going to do some form shooting here. And then after that, we'll go do a couple spots and, you know. But I find a lot of, you know, basketball trainers and stuff, they like, you know, ask the kids what they want to do. Well, actually, the kid's going to want to do what he's real good at. There's very few, like, well, let's do the right hand layups. You know, well, you're really good with right. How about doing the left? And that was one of the things, like, you know, in the NBA, you know, they got, you know, this guy's 1% of the top 20. Well, we need to work on that where, you know, at least we can get to, like, maybe where you're 60-40. That's a huge improvement. You know, you're not only going there 20, you know, and like Kobe's was the best. He was 50-50 each way, you know, just, you know, strive for that. But if we can get the kids to see, you know, that they're getting better and improving, you know, that helps them with their positive outlook on coming in and train. That's one of the reasons why, you know, like I said, I chart shots, but when I do individual workouts, I have what we did and what they shot.
Yeah.
And then, like, said, okay, hey, you know what? You need to work on this here. You're not very good on your float game. You know, you're good on a pull up. Your float game's not where it should be. So let's spend a little bit more time on that. Let's go home and work on it, and so forth.
So I know you've always had a notebook every single workout, just about. And nowadays, right. 2021, you mentioned the home court app. I came across that probably a couple months ago, and I was just stunned. I was blown away by the capability of that app.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah. So are you encouraging that nowadays because it's getting video footage and it's so quick? Are you encouraging?
Yeah, I mean, I like it. I think anything's good. You know, you got to use it. That's the thing. Exactly. Like, the kids have. Yeah, I used it, you know, a couple times. It's like, and I use it like with the like the gun, right? Yeah. When the gun or Dr. Dish, right? First get that, kids are like amazed with it, like, yeah. And then it's like after a week or so, it's like, you know, well, I got to pull it out. I mean, I still use it. I'm like, I get 500 makes up in, you know, half an hour. I mean, it's like, you know, time is, you know, and, but, you know, you have to use these valuable tools that they have. And like I said, you know, it has the video footage. I mean, has what your arc is. It's like, you know, it's just amazing what's at their fingertips, but they neglect to use it. And I just finished reading, I guess it was about a month and a half ago, Nick Nurse's book, Rapture. Yeah. Very, very interesting book. I suggest anybody to read, especially if you're into coaching. And he had an interesting journey. You know, he bounced around, was in the G League or the D League, whatever alphabet it was at the time. And he was talking about him and Nate Bjorkman, who now Nate's, head coach with Indiana. And he said that they were down, they had whiteboards and they just were down in the basement, X and O and, coming up with things, taking pictures of it, X and O. And he said he used to watch the NBA games and and he would watch them on VCR, VHS video. And I just figured I better say what that is. Some of the young kids might not know what that is. So, and he would stop it, because he would put, and he would okay, this is what I would run. He was on page with the other coaches and everything. And he said he took pictures of all the whiteboards and he would erase, take pictures, erase and go. So he said, all these coaches hey, can you send me those notes? Can you do this? And he's like, that's the problem everybody wants. They want you to do the work. You have to experience that yourself. Yeah. You have to go through that process. I can't give you my notes and expect that's it. You have to experience it. I mean, you have to go through those steps yourself. And I know even myself, I watch, the games and I'm taking notes because I try to tell the kids, they want to do 9 million dribbles before they shoot the basketball. The most common shot in all of basketball still is a catch and shoot jump shot.
Yeah.
There's very few players. It's 0.001% that, Kyrie Irving, Steph Curry, but people don't realize how good Steph Curry is without the basketball.
Yeah.
I mean, he moves. I mean, he runs off the screens, and then Klay Thompson never dribbles. I mean, and, most, even the top colleges, I got all these stats, Villanova, 4.8% of their possessions are ISOs. And guess when that is? That's the end of a shot clock they run at. They're not clearing out. And the kids, they don't understand this. They think they're all, and I say, to a lot of these young trainers, I said, you spend 98% of the time working on something the kid's going to do 2% of the time. Can the kid make a catch and shoot jump shot? He's doing 9 million drills where he didn't even move.
Right.
You got to be able to get from A to B, and he's probably going to be a 2-dribble guy. And I just read a great thing. John Chaney, they were saying he had a dribble quota for each player. It's the big guys were a 1 dribble.
Yeah.
And if you went 2 dribbles, the horn sounded, you went to the bench. You might be a 3 dribble guy. But he always had a real good point guard that he had in the ball, sure. Vic Starson, Pepe Sanchez, and stuff.
Sanchez, yeah.
And they handled the ball most of the time. But Mark Macon didn't dribble a lot. He came off the screens, and Breezewick, he dribbled twice in his teams. And the big guy Jackson, he was a 1 dribble guy. If you got a rebound, pass it. You set the kids in the parameters and so forth.
Yeah, but Dave, that doesn't show well on social media.
No, it doesn't. That is such a huge part of the kids' likes. I tell the kids, if you shot as much as you posted, you'd be a damn good shooter.
That couldn't be more true. That's funny. Hey, I want to finish up with a couple things here. So, obviously you're shooting, I'm assuming almost every single day. You're working out every single day, staying sharp with your craft. How are you staying a healthy baller? How are you taking care of your body on a daily basis? Well,
it's funny. I have my foam roller that I travel. I got the small, I guess it's about that I travel with. I just went up to New York. I was up there for a few days. I have a TENS unit that I take with me. I also bought a little portable ultrasound, with the blue cream, and I rub it and I do that. I try to get a deep tissue massage once a week.
Okay.
I also travel with, I have a thing that you stand on. It's called the reflexology board. How I love the massages, the foot massages over.
Oh, yeah.
And I stand on that, and I walk around because it's got all these little round things with spikes. And I there's almost like lacrosse balls to rub. And then one of the things that I started doing is when I was up in New York, I have a guy that I go to all the time, Kurt Marsh, and he's unbelievable. I started doing acupuncture.
Yeah.
And that has helped me immensely. And I don't like needles, but I swear by it. And I'll tell a quick story. I was at Quinnipiac several years ago, and I was doing my lecture. And, at the end I do beat the pro, where I shoot the threes, and a kid threw a low pass down at my ankle, and I got it, and I shot it, and I finished up. And then I finished up with my lecture questions and answers and all that stuff. And then when I sat down to get up, my back had tightened up, and I was like Quasimodo going to the showers. And I took a shower. My buddy goes, "Look, there's my guy's down the road. He's does acupuncture." Now I had 3 lectures the next day, and I'm like, I can barely move. So as I'm leaving, Scott Burrell, who was an assistant at Quinnipiac, is coming in, and he had just hurt his back doing some Muay Thai fighting or something, training. And he's like, "Coach Hop, man, I look like you yesterday. Look at me now." And he's doing a triple roundhouse kick, and I'm like, "Scott, man, that looks painful just as it." So I went to the guy. He put some ice on me. He laid me down. He stuck a bunch of pins in me. And I laid there for probably about, I guess, 35, 40 minutes. I got up off of there, and I felt great. And I did 3 lectures on Friday. I went back to him the following week on Tuesday as I was going back from Maine through Connecticut. And I had my shoulder done, shoot the ball, all those muscles come in, because it's like your shoulder, you got the trapezius, and even your chest, everything sort of meets like over underneath the scapula. And he put the pins in on me on that. And after I was done, I could extend my arm like almost 2 inches higher with extension.
Wow.
And so I've gone to him now, for my knee. I've had some heel problems and stuff. And they've been, knock wood. And like when I went to the foot doctor with my heel, he has me do these exercises in the pool, and I'm supposed to do figure eights and then alphabet. So I do them, and he goes, "You're like you're doing great." He goes, "What are you doing?" I said, "Well, you told me to do the alphabet and figure eights." I said, "I do the figure eights one way, and then I reverse it, and then I do the alphabets upper and lowercase." He goes, "No wonder." But and I said, "Doc, I get it." I said, I work with a lot of kids, only one time a week, right? You're not going to get better, just coming to me for, 90 minutes once a week. You have to take and implement what I've worked with you on. And I give kids basketball homework. I write it down. Like I said, I can't do it for them. They got to do it themselves. Yeah. And I can tell if you've done it or not.
Right.
And how do you expect to get better when you come back? It's like, and you got to work at it. So like I figured I might as well, do it. And then I do the other foot too, because I figured I don't want to be like, out of balance. I might as well do the other one as well. So, trying to do that. But like Father Time is undefeated, and I'm just trying to, go the distance with them, So.
Yeah, that's great. I appreciate you sharing that. It's really good. It's good for people to hear at every single level. Like you at some point you figure out you got to take care of the body.
Right. And, and also I forgot, I ice, like on my heel, I have my little Dixie cups, that I freeze, and then I just give it, the ice massage on my heel. And then actually I put ice on my knees, as ice is like everybody's, players can't live without it. Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I wanted to ask one last thing here is like, what advice you would give to the young athlete trying to play at the next level, whether it's college or pro. I feel like within our conversation, we probably could take out 5 to 10 pieces of our conversation and say, hey, this is what you need to do. But I just want to finish everything off with like, what are the 1 or 2 quick hitters you would say if an athlete's trying to take themselves to that next level?
Well, one of the things I always tell kids, if you play after high school, you've accomplished something.
Sure.
I mean, there's only so many, Division I teams, if you're playing it, you've accomplished something. Everyone thinks you're a Division I player. Everyone's not, and then everyone thinks you're an NBA player. There's only 450 of those jobs, and 120 of them are from people out of the country. So you have to be realistic about yourself. What are your goals? And I know, like, I was, I tell kids I was on JV as a junior, man. I didn't quit, and that's like against the law in 32 states. If you're on JV as a junior, you suck. But I used it to motivate myself. I said, okay, yeah, I'm going to prove people I should have been. And then my senior year, I made, all Metro. I mean, I worked at it. I didn't take the negativity. I used it to fuel my fire.
Yeah.
Like, okay, they don't think I'm good enough. I'm going to show them. And it's the same thing, and then I went, I had no scholarship offers. I went to a junior college, and my first year there, I broke my ankle. And my second year, I made, all region and honorable mention All-American. I still don't know what that means. Either you're an All-American or you're not. So I guess everyone's honorable mention. But I got a certificate saying that. So we'll run with that. But and I didn't have major offers, and I ended up going to a school in Nebraska. And but it was like, I'm just going to prove people, and I'm going to outwork people. And to that day, I still, that's my thing. I feel guilty. Like if I don't go to the gym and get my shots up, I feel guilty about it. Even if it's, like I said, just doing my form shooting. But I'm afraid, like, okay, I've worked so hard to get to this point. I can't. Like I always say, if I take a day off, I know it. I take 2 days off, nobody knows it. I take a week off, everybody knows it. And I just, and it's, but I still enjoy it because, like, this might be the day I set a new record. Now as I'm getting older, I do a lot of things, more time stuff. So I'm getting my cardio in. Like I'll shoot in between the elbows, right? I'll put cones on the elbows, and I'll shoot till I miss, and I'll see what I can, I get cardio. Some days I go 112 in a row, but I'm going and I get it done in under 10 minutes. So I'm getting it, and it's nice when you're getting it going, it's hitting the back of the rim and it's coming back to you. That's, that's nice. But like, get it. And I, either spin it or dribble it out. And that's one of my pet peeves. Like I see, like a lot of the guys, like, even in the pros, like, you come get your wear. Who gets the ball for you? I says, I go get it. I says, and then I work on a dribble coming back. See, I said, I actually move when I dribble the ball.
Yeah.
So like, even when I do my form shooting, right, I'll start in, and it depends. Some days I want to make, 5 from each spot and move back. Some days it's not till I swish it, I'll move back. I change it up. So I'm never bored, but I'm still doing the same thing. So like I start with the one hand form shooting. Okay. Every time I take a step back, I'm going to do a retreat dribble with my left hand. Right. Okay. Now I go all the way out to the 3, NBA 3. I come in, I add the balance hand. Okay. I'm going to do retreat dribbles now with my right hand. All right. Now let's do, spin out straight on 15 footers. Okay. Spin it out. Boom. Shot. Get it. Freeze the follow. Speed dribble out with my left hand. Okay. Let's bring it out now to the top of the key. Speed dribble out my right hand. Okay. Now let's go out to the 3. Cross it over. Right to left cross. Boom. Okay. Now we're going left to right. Okay. Behind the back with the left hand. So I'm working on my handles the entire time, but I'm going somewhere.
Yes.
Instead of just, kids stand and go through the list 72 times and stuff. So I'm getting a good cardio workout, but I'm also working on my ball handling.
Yeah.
So, it's, and like I says, you get older, you find out, when you're a kid, you think you have all the time in the world. And as you get older, you realize at times how important it is in your life and everything. And make the most of it. So.
Absolutely. No, I love how simple that approach is. You're generally just taking a shooting workout, and then you're implementing all these different variables into it, working on different factors of the handle, of the balance, of even a pivot series getting into your shot. That's
right.
So yeah. You can get a lot of
pivots. What are they? What's a pivot?
Yeah. I'll never forget Coach Tate's lock showing the pivot series, and even in some of my workouts when I do get outside to shoot, even during the COVID period, I always go to the pivot series because it's just so fundamental, and you have all the variations within the pivots. And I've actually implemented that into my warm-ups with some of my kids as well. It's really, really effective. But kids don't know how to pivot. You're right. I mean,
no, I had a kid come in, and he was a junior, going to be a senior in high school. And I said to him, I had him at the free throw line with his back to the basket. I said, turn and face for me to shoot the ball. So I flipped him, boy. Naturally, he's right-handed. He gave the left shoulder turn. I said, okay. Threw it to him again. Same thing. I said, there's 4 ways you can turn and face. Mm-hmm. So I took it and I did a right shoulder turn, and he's like, oh, okay. Yeah, that makes it. When I did the inside pivots, you thought I discovered electricity. He was like,
yeah, reverse.
So, and then I went into when you would use, the different, especially if you're in the post. But nowadays, like, there's nobody in the post anymore. So it's like, it's such a, like I said, post players, the lost art. I mean, you got the 7-footers shooting the threes.
Yeah, it's still such a valuable strategy or tool, though, because you might catch on the perimeter, and if you're never working on both pivot feet, you might not know how to square up.
Right.
You might get pressure in the back, and you don't know how to pivot.
Right. You can't. So, now you're turning into the defender instead. If you had the other end, you could turn away. And same thing. If he's off of you, inside pivot, you're right into your shot. Whereas outside pivot takes too long, and other guys in there, and like it's just, it's the fundamentals, and that's like. I love Alan Stein's thing about Kobe. He never got bored with the basics.
Yeah.
He said he went in to watch him work out. He said it was the most boring workout he ever saw. And Kobe said, that's why I'm Kobe Bryant, man. So many people think, okay, I've done that. And I always use these quotes. I always try to make sure the kids are listening to me in camps now. And I say, one of my favorite basketball players of all time, 2-time back-to-back MVP, Steve Jobs, man. I loved him, man. He was a 180 shooter, and they're like, Coach. I'm like, what? They're like, you mean Steve Nash? I said, what did I say? They said Steve Jobs. I said, who in the hell's Steve Jobs? He's the founder of Apple. I said, oh, yeah. I said, by the way, what kind of phone you have, Apple? What do you have, Apple? What kind of phone you have, Blair?
Apple.
Well, I have an Apple. So it's the most popular handheld device in the world. Why? Simplicity. They've eliminated buttons over the years. They're not adding bells and whistles. I mean, you look at the thing, a thumbprint opens up, right? So I said, you know what he said? Because I read, Steve Jobs' book. He said, the hardest thing in the world to do are the simplest acts over and over repeatedly. And I said, then one of my favorite European ball players of all time, Leonardo da Vinci, Italian point guard, played one to go. And they're like, Coach. I'm like, what? Leonardo da Vinci was an artist. I say, he was much more than an artist. He was a Renaissance man. The guy, all those things in the medical books with the bones and the muscles, he's the one that drew them back in 1486. He drew helicopters, submarines in 1486. They thought he was a nut. So he said the same thing Steve Jobs said, but he said it like in 1486. Simplicity is the ultimate sophistication, right? But what do we want to do? We want to make things more difficult.
Yeah.
We don't want to be efficient. We want to make, it's got to be sexy. We got to go through our legs, got to cross them up 16 times. I got to do a step back, right? And then one of my favorites, Bruce Lee. And I try to get through to the kids. They think, Bruce Lee said, I do not fear the man that knows 10,000 kicks. I fear the man that's perfected one kick 10,000 times. Yeah. That's the one that's going to get you. I mean, I've seen, I've got all these moves. Yeah, you can't make a shot, though. Like I say to kids, too, like, game's on the line. Here's the ball. Show me, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
And they go through. I said, there's 2 seconds on the clock.
Yeah.
Where's your shot? What are you going to do? And you're like, at my camps, we never play one-on-one where, like, you're there and I check it at the top of the key. I mean, how often in a game are we in a perfect situation? You got the basket in front of you and you got the ball. And I only allow them 3 dribbles, sometimes 2. So I have it like, say you have the ball, you could be at either block, depending on where we're at. So I'm behind you, trailing you, right? Now you can spin it out. If you think you got me in a post, you just spin it out and jump stop. I got to learn to defend the post. You got to learn up. You can spin out to the corner. You can spin out to the 45. Can you hear me all right? There's a guy below.
Yeah. Is there, yeah.
Or you can spin out, up to the elbow. So I can't steal the ball from you because I'm the defender. I'm trailing you. So you got to catch it. You got to rip through. You got to square up. You got to use one of your 4 pivots, right? So I've had kids that weren't good ball players. They go and they take their dribbles backwards. And I'm like, we're not the French. We don't retreat. Next guy up, right? So even the kids that can't play, the first 2 times, let me go inside there.
Oh, no worries.
He's gone. So the first 2 times, kid like hasn't even got a shot off. By the 3rd time, he's ripping through he's pissed off. And, defender like backs up. I'm like, look at that. You need to dribble. You got 3 feet now. And it's like, and they're the simple things that I don't know what these kids are learning when they play too many games is the number one thing now. I mean,
yeah, for sure.
When I was a kid, there was 1 million camps. Now there's less than camps. I mean, even the numbers like at Maryland. I mean, how many kids were at the Maryland camp when you went there? 500?
Yeah, and it was a lot. It was a lot. I mean, I can't.
Now there's like not even 200 kids here.
Yeah.
So, but let me go in now. Okay, this is bothering me. This guy. So.
Oh, no worries.
Trying to out here in this nice weather down here, Blair.
Yeah,
did you guys get?
I wish we could feel that right now. It's so super cold up here in Maryland.
Yeah, you have to come down and check the place out sometime, man.
Yeah, I would love to. I would love to see that spot. It looks great. I'm sure. I've been talking to people about it. It looks really cool.
How's things going with your place and stuff?
It's good. It's been progressing pretty well. We're going to open in Alexandria sometime in the next couple of months. We're really excited about that. Mm-hmm. And then I have an opportunity to open an actual basketball facility, hopefully sometime in the next year. So that's really exciting, but a little bit scary as well. So
right. Wait, now where's that going to be at?
It's going to be somewhere in the Springfield area on a property of mine. So
good. That's great.
Sort of trying to keep it private, just
like
you're working on there. So really excited about that.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of obstacles in the way to make it a real life thing.
Right. Yeah, I've been blessed, with this place. My buddy, it's the freaking gym's in his house. He's got 2 weight rooms too on the property.
Oh, that's
and it's like we went over there a couple weeks, I guess probably a month ago or so, my wife and I. So, we go over, we take a Lyft or Uber over because we know we're going to have a few glasses of wine. I don't want to be driving and stuff. So we have the Uber driver and he's like, oh yeah. He goes, I've been in this community before. I'm like, yeah, it's my buddy's house. It's not a community. He's like, but he's got 54 acres down here. And and like all the guys like, what's your dude, man? What's he, a drug dealer? What does he do? And stuff. And he's like always working on property. If I'm working a guy out, he might pop in the gym and they're like, who's that? And I'm like, oh, he might have paint on him. He might have, mulch or whatever. And like, I said, he owns the property. Like, no. I'm like, yeah. So, but he's a great guy. Yeah. So, but yeah.
Dave, I appreciate your time. And, I could talk to you all day long. I really would actually, if you don't mind, I'd love to get you another time, maybe in a few months.
Yeah.
Get some, chirp out some questions more specific to what the fans want and the community wants, but
that'd be great. I would love that, man.
Absolutely. How can someone work with you online? Do you do any online consulting?
I haven't. I probably should because I've had a lot of people ask me that. I'm like the worst, with social media and all that. I'll post a few things like on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram, like, what I'm doing and stuff, but I don't like, post everything I do. I just, I'm old school, like I said, and like people are like, you need to do more advertising. I'm like, I'm busy enough without putting more stuff up there. It's like, how much do I want to do? And the reason I moved down here, was because I had access to that gym.
Yeah.
I don't want to be, I'm going to be 64 years old. I don't want to be flying all over the country anymore. I mean, like, going to Vegas to work a guy out, going to LA, going to wherever it might be, it's like, they can come to me now. It's like, and what better place than Naples? They have 2 Ritz-Carltons down here.
Yeah.
One's on the beach and one's on a golf course. I mean, so what do you want to do if you want to bring your family down, the guys that the old heads and stuff. There's golf courses, there's the beach. I mean, and the thing is, the guys like it because there's nobody in there. Like, if you're at like LA Fitness or the New York Sports Club, their video, there's so-and-so. And I don't have time to be posting that. And I said, I don't post it. I have a sign that says, check your ego and cell phone at the door, man. We're here to work.
Yeah.
You know, you can't give me 90 minutes or 2 hours without your phone.
Right.
And, you know, we unless there's if they, somebody had to like say, hey, you know what, my mother is really sick. Is it all right if I bring you? That's one thing. But like, because guys like, go get a drink. They're not getting a drink.
They're looking at
they go to their cell phone. I'm like,
yeah.
So, but I guess sound like an old man that I am. So,
well, please keep us posted if you are available online, or you ever do like any online evaluation shooting. Like I know we'd have a handful of kids that would love an opportunity to get your personal feedback, and certainly if you're up in the area, I want to organize something. I know Chase, the new coach in high school up here, has you up every summer, so I want to make sure people know have an opportunity to see you.
Sure. I was going to say, did they cancel basketball this year up in certain areas of Baltimore? Because I know I spoke to my aunt. She lives in the county, and she had told me like the city restaurants were closed, but at the one point the county were open. It was sort of like different from wherever you went, whether it was city or in county to county and stuff.
Yeah, I mean at this stage it seems to change pretty regularly, and I feel so bad for the kids. I'm really more well versed in the WCAC with the DeMathis and Gonzagas to know what's going on with them.
Yeah,
and DC has really strict guidelines right now, so they have not been able to do much. And these other teams in the WCAC that are in Maryland are playing basically like friendlies, I guess you'd call them. So So there's a lot of Virginia. There's a lot of basketball going on now. So some of these teams are running down there just to get some run in. So it's not a regular season. It's been a real show.
Yeah. They've been, like I said, my daughter, they started school early. They start early down here. She's been in school since August 12th, and they had a football season, although it was modified, where they usually would play like 12 games. I think they played 8. And same thing with basketball. They probably would have maybe 24 regular season games. I think they have 18, and then the playoffs. So it's, but it's still, they're playing. I mean, it's, I feel so bad for the kids. I really do. I mean, could you imagine when you were a kid and you can't do this and that? And then down here, when the COVID first hit, I mean, they even took the rims off the outdoor at the parks and stuff.
Same with us around here. I was going out to shoot. I go outside to shoot just to get outside, and then all of a sudden the rims are gone, and they haven't replaced them. So.
Yeah. Like I said, I was lucky when I had when it first hit, I had the gym. I had to turn people away because I was still, with the thing, I only would allow one person in the gym.
Yeah.
And then I needed like at least 35 minutes because I had to, switch balls out, had to wipe everything down. I was like, Mr. Clean and stuff. And I told kids, I don't want you to come early. I hate to say it. I would love for you to come early and go shoot on the gun while I'm finishing the workout, in a normal time. But I didn't want people, passing by you and me, like even, having any contact. So it was crazy, but I had people like, oh, I wanted to, I'm like, I can't please everybody. I got to go with the people that have, been consistent with me and stuff. So, but, it's still, it's still crazy, but I've been fortunate, like I said, the whole time to, have that. And, and Carol, she's, she hasn't been traveling with her job, but, she's just working out of her office. So we're both blessed that, we both have work, and so many people, lost jobs and everything. It's a travesty, So
hopefully get out of it sooner than later. We'll
see. Hey, another note, you ever watch Mike Procopio's Hoop Consultants podcast? You ever watch that?
I have not, but Mike's on my list to reach out to. I'd love to have him.
You got to watch some. So he's on air a lot with Dave Severns.
Yeah.
Right. So they're talking about NBA workouts, right? And they like all these people, like they're like, I'm an NBA trainer. What does that mean? You're an NBA trainer? So they go on, because everybody's an NBA.
Everybody's
NBA,
a trainer.
NBA, like. So what does that mean? You worked with a guy one time, you're an NBA, so they're going on, but like everyone's like, oh, NBA, and they're going on like, people want to go like, oh, well, what do you do? And they Mike goes, it's, almost like the Wizard of Oz. You're sort of like disappointed, like when people see what NBA workouts are like. We're not flipping over tractor trailer tires, dribbling a ball with a tennis racket, looking up. And, that's why I love that spoof with Damian Lillard when the guy was shooting him. You ever see that one?
No.
Damian Lillard did a spoof out at Jackson Center. It's out in LA. The guy, Mr. Jackson's a big Laker fan. Okay. So his court looks just like the Lakers with the purple and gold. It's called the Jackson Center. So Damian Lillard's out there. He's working with his the assistant. I can't think of his name, that works him out with the Trailblazers. So they're in LA working out. So Dame Lillard gets out. He's got like a cape on, right? And they got this music playing. So he gets up. He has an air horn. He blows it. Dame gets up and he's doing all this dribbling, through his legs behind his back. And then his trainer's got like a Nerf gun and he's shooting at him and he's dribbling like this. And then he goes in, he's got a noodle. When he goes in for a layup, he hits him with it. He blows the horn. Dane like sprints out to the 3-point line. He picks up a hula hoop and he starts hula hoop. And then he like gets a ball and, fires up some crazy. I mean, he's making a spoof of somebody. So anyway, Mike and, Dave Severance are like, they said, it's almost like the Wizard of Oz. Like, when they finally find the wizard and they open that curtain up, and there's the guy with the puppets and stuff. And you're expecting so much more. And it's like, like Mike's whole big thing is dominate the simple, master the basics, dominate some. And it's like, it's efficiency. It's like, okay, the shots you're going to shoot in a game, 1-2 dribble pull up or something. I mean, like I say, feel so blessed to have worked with some of the greats like, Melo, just, his jab game was so effective, and, Jason Kidd, stressing like, about passing, he would get on the guys in practice if they threw bad passes. He said, if you don't practice being a good passer, when are you gonna be a good passer?
Right.
You ain't going to be with a guy breathing down your neck now. All of a sudden you expect to drop that dime,
Right.
And, but yeah, anytime, man, just stay in touch. All right.
Absolutely. Yeah. I appreciate your time. Let me just stop here and